Hi, I'm Beth Whitaker, and welcome to Artmaker Farm's Cultivating Creativity, based on Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And this week is exercises targeting your recovering a sense of your integrity. And integrity is a state of being whole, being true to yourself, being authentic to who you are. And quite often that sense of who you are gets pushed aside as we grow up. We're told to fit into the society, we're told to fit into the family, we're told to fit into our religion, our culture. And those parts of us that are truly and authentically who we are, the integer of ourself, loses its ability to be expressed. And so these exercises this week is all about giving yourself the opportunity to find out who you are. And it's a very powerful week. It's a tough week. And I want to stress right now as well that if you've been having trouble keeping up with the exercises and tasks in the first 3 weeks, or if you're doing this by the month and slowing things down, and you can't get to all of the tasks and exercises, don't worry about it. Just do what you can. Many people have done this program more than once, simply because it's difficult to do, but it's also time-consuming, and you have to do all of what Julia Cameron suggests, you have to really want it so bad that you stop doing other things, and don't worry about it. Just do what you can, and that'll be fine. So recovering a sense of integrity is about discovering who we are underneath all of the things that we feel we have to do. Going back and finding out the things we want to do. We're going to discover what parts of our thinking, what parts of our behavior, what parts of our lives we own. What is yours? Truly and deeply yours, and what is it that you're doing that might be a compromise to who you are? We're going to be discovering what makes you you. The morning pages are very important. I know they're difficult. It's a new routine. It's something that takes time. It can also be very difficult to do because you're starting to discover things that may be uncomfortable, make you angry, painful. But part of what makes the morning pages valuable is that as you progress in your creative recovery, the morning pages become like an anchor, a safe place, but also a place that keeps you grounded and maintains whatever progress and discovery you've already made. So the morning pages, please keep them up if you do them regularly. Please try to start them more regularly, and if you can't, don't feel bad. Just do it as much as you can, because as time goes on and the more you do them, the more valuable you'll realize they are. I'm going to ask you to get your workbook and write a list of 5 things each of these, and I'm going to read them. List 5 things that would be fun hobbies for you to have. And a hobby is something that you do regularly that you enjoy. So make a list of 5 things, 5 hobbies that you would like to have. List 5 things that would be fun for you to take a class in. Make a list of things you would never do, but they look like they might be fun to do. Or scary, or unusual. And then one of the things that made my list was bungee jump. I will never do it, period. Make a list of 5 things that would be fun skills to have. maybe drumming or guitar, or one of the things on my list was it would be fun to learn how to twirl plates on the end of a stick. Totally useless perhaps, but it might be fun to learn how to do that. Something like that could be on your list. List 5 things that you use to enjoy. And I realize that the longer I live, there are things that I used to do more and more. And so write a list of the things that you have stopped doing. And make a list of 5 things that sound silly, but you'd like to try them anyway. All right? So all of these lists, the 5 and 5 and 5, is exercise in uncovering those things that you really have an interest in. And it helps to allow you to understand, what the basic core in there is. And it's fun stuff. Nothing serious, nothing, that's going to make or break someone's opinion of you or you of yourself. It's just what's there. Some years ago, I picked up a ring, and I was impressed by the script on it, and I found that it was appropriate for this week's exercises. And it's the playwright and writer Anton Chekhov from his play, The Seagull. And the quote is, "We should not," hopefully I'm not messing this up, "we should not show the world as it is or as it should be, but as we see it in our dreams." And this is pure creativity. This is our personal expression of ourselves. And one of the recent paintings I made brought that out for me, and it's called Marsh Cranes. And I had taken a trip to Santa Fe and saw some work by an artist who sculpted with folded metal to make origami. And so in this painting, I have painted cranes, and I put them on what appears to be a branch that is really reflections in marsh rivers. I like both of these things. I combined them in this way just because it was play for me. It was fantasy for me. It was something that I wanted to, one, find out if I could do it, two, what it would look like, and just enjoy making an image rather than feeling like I was resolving an internal issue. It was just fun for me. So these, the discovery we'll be making this week in these exercises are in order to get in touch with little things inside us that are asking to be expressed. The biggest assignment for this week, and the one that has brought the most controversy across the board, and even for me when I did it many months ago, was that for the entire week, you do not read anything. You don't read anything. And that means social media, that means emails, that means books, newspapers, magazines. No reading for the week. The more and more society changes toward information overload, the more we realize that reading is a part of our lives. But the reading deprivation is actually an amazing exercise, because you will be giving yourself more control over the information you receive. And the information will come from many different areas. I also didn't watch TV. I stopped watching TV years ago, so that wasn't in part of my deprivation. But what this exercise is asking you to do is give yourself more free time. And the free time can be filled up with things that you can choose to input. You can do chores that you've been putting off. There's a long list of things that she's suggesting that you replace that reading time with. Eventually, after you've filled up the time with things that you think, are great to do now that you have time, you might want to sit. You might want to sit and think and not do anything. And just, I guess, again, it's an exercise in daydreaming, in allowing your thoughts to flow without direction and purpose. And by the end of the week when I did it, I was in a different place, because it really made me realize how much time I waste reading things that I get distracted by, that aren't important. And I was able to come back from not reading and be a little more selective of how I spent my time. One of the soft spots in Julia Cameron's exercises with this week is that even though you can't read, you can write, and you can read her book. So keep it up with the morning pages. Keep it up with the exercises and tasks for this week, but no other reading, please. So the tasks for this week are few, but they're important. And the first one is to spend some time putting together an image and description of what your ideal space is, why your place where you can imagine enjoying everything about it, maybe even draw a picture of it. And in my workbook, I did that, and it turns out it was a nice, soft, cushy chair next to an open window with the Mediterranean sun coming through, and a light breeze, and maybe the sound of birds in the background. And, it was just everything about that fantasy of what was ideal made perfect sense to me. It wasn't where I was at the time when I was doing it, but it gave, I guess now that I say it out loud, I realize it gave me the direction of what I'd be looking for in order to make a comfortable, safe space for me. And in many ways, I have. So it's good. It's a good exercise to do. The next two exercises are very interesting because it says a lot about your dreams, both for the future and from the past. The first character that you'll describe is you when you're 80 years old. Put it down, what kind of health do you have? What are you doing? What are your interests? Describe who you are at 80. And then, as an 80-year-old, write a letter to yourself today, the age you are now. What would your 80-year-old self say to you? What's some of the advice that person would share with you about anything? Just write it out. And the next task is to remember yourself as an 8-year-old. What were you like? What were your interests? And again, as an 8-year-old, write a letter to yourself today and write what that 8-year-old you would like you to know today. Okay. These are really fun because we can make up anything about the future. We know what we were at 8, and you didn't know who you were becoming at 8, but maybe there's something you can tell yourself. The next task, if you haven't done this already, it's important for you to create a space for yourself in your home that's just yours. It could be a chair, it could be a corner of a room, it could be a whole room, but just yours to decorate and make as you want it to be with things that are important to you. This is your anchor, your safe space. It's a place for you to write your morning pages. It's almost like a spiritual center for you to collect yourself and express yourself and feel comfortable just being. The next task is to go to the first week exercise where you made a pie shape and divided into, I believe there were 8 different parts, where you put on it a measure of where you were in the scale of not at all and fantastic, for things like where your spirituality is, your friendships are, things like that. Go back to that graph that you made and put in marks where you measure today. After this many weeks of working on self-discovery, how does that compare to how you were at the beginning? And if there's not a lot of change with those levels, change takes time, and don't be critical of yourself. Go in there without any expectations of what you're going to see with the changes, because then whatever the changes are, you can look at objectively and see where you'd like to work some more. The next task is one that I wrote. I was surprised, and it's to write an artist's prayer. And I personally don't pray a lot, so this was a difficult one for me, but realizing what value an artist's prayer might have in this program, I was glad I wrote it. It was very supportive and directional for me. There are some examples, I think, in the book, and if not, well, don't Google it, because that means you're going to have to go online and you're not supposed to be reading. But just imagine, what would you say in a prayer as an artist? What do you want your spiritual guide to hear? This next task is to open your closet doors and remove your low self-worth outfit. And you know which one it is. Remove it and give it away, donate it, throw it away, burn it, whatever. Make room for something new. The next and final task is to write down what major thing, what big thing in your life do you feel that you need to change, that you would like to change? And ask yourself, what's the benefit of staying where you are with it? What's the benefit of being stuck? Spend some time thinking about that. One of the lists we made this week was to write down 5 courses we'd like to take. And on my list was a course to find out more about en plein air landscape painting. And this summer, I had an opportunity to sign up for a course through Landgrove Inn with a painter I admire, T.J. Cunningham. During the 4 days with TJ, he took us out into the landscape, and he would explain to us how he set his palette, how he chose the view, how he sketched in his canvas. It was all really important for me to learn these things from him. I admire his work very much, and if I was to be a landscape painter, I would want to emulate him. One of the most important things I learned from taking this workshop was that if I was to be the type of landscape painter I wanted to be, I would have to practice every day for 7 hours, 5 days a week in order to get to the level that I want. And I don't have the time and interest to do that. I had to learn that from taking this course. TJ is a phenomenal landscape painter. His workshops are well attended, and I am very glad to have taken it with him. And I was glad to have learned that I don't have the commitment that it takes to get to that level. And this is what we're learning this week. What is really deep inside us, and what do we want to learn? Julia Cameron is asking us to mourn our dutiful, compliant self and be prepared for the feeling of self-discovery to wash over you. And, you know, it takes some bravery. It takes time. But it'll be worth it. All right, thank you so much for watching Artmaker Farms, Cultivating Creativity, Week 4 of Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, Recovering a Sense of Integrity. The next program is Week 5, and it's Recovering a Sense of Possibility. So that should be fun. Anything's possible. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.